Trae Young was a polarizing proposition in the 2018 NBA draft. He'd set the college basketball world on fire with his Stephen Curry-esque long-range assaults and dizzying set of playmaking skills. But troublesome questions and concerns loomed large over his NBA potential. Could he coexist with other good players? Would his size be a hindrance against the longer and faster athletes in the NBA? Would he ever really have the chance to make it as an actor?
There's nothing crazy about my love for you.
This is the Rookie Midterm, a series where we revisit and assess the early returns of some of the most prominent faces from the loaded 2018 NBA draft. In part 2, we're going to take a closer look and chart the year 1 progress this far of one Mr. Trae Young. Being thrown into the role of a starting NBA point guard as a rookie is no simple task, and while the first half of this season was a little turbulent for Trae Young, he's managed to offer some tantalizing glimpses of what's to come. He's averaging 18.3 points per game on 6.2 of 14.9 attempts, 7.8 assists, and he's shooting 33.9% from 3. If not for the historic averages of Luka Doncic, it's likely that Trae Young would be a runaway favorite for Rookie of the Year. Everybody loves a strong statement, so let's start with one. I think that Trae Young is one of the most offensively balanced and skilled lead guards to come into the NBA since Chris Paul in 2005. Purely as a triple threat player, that is, passing, dribbling, shooting, Trae is an elite caliber offensive talent, and these three skills work together as a three-part hoops harmony. A holy trinity, if you will. Each skill greatly benefits the other. Trae's shooting has shaped a great deal of his reputation to this point, but his most consistently eye-popping skill is his passing. He's able to make just about any pass, and he's already one of the most gifted ambidextrous passers in the NBA. He is a wizard in heavy traffic, and he effortlessly delivers bounce passes in transition and in the pick and roll with either hand. His ability to put the correct velocity on a pass with either hand greatly expands his accessible field of vision. He's also incredible at putting passes through cramped spaces, and he puts them right on target, buying precious time for shooters and finishers. His elite vision and passing are enhanced by his ball handling, which is on pace to be virtuosic. I am consistently blown away by his almost Steve Nash level ability to traverse just about any area on the floor, ducking into and exploring driving lanes that he's created. This can get him into trouble at times, as he can get stuck after over-penetrating and getting caught standing still, where longer defenders can then get a hand on his pass. Trae also seems keenly aware of the fact that everyone on planet Earth wants to block his shot, and he's got an advanced sense of how long to string along a drive before dumping it off at the perfect moment for an easy bucket. With Atlanta's pace of play, first in the league, and the rate at which they attempt threes, tied for 5th at 35 a game, I expected Trae to be flinging threes like an absolute wild man, especially on a team with nothing to lose by losing. But he's been surprisingly reasonable with his attempts. His percentage from deep had a rough start, in the low 20s, but he steadily climbed into the 30s and still appears to be finding his footing. Trae's directional pad as a shooter goes in all directions. His mechanics are fluid and comfortable going left or right, pulling up, or stepping in. Because of his size, I think that he prefers to shoot them well above the break with the defense in front of him, but as the Hawks add more playmaking throughout the roster, something that I expect them to do because of the style that they want to play, Trae's ability to play off the ball should become more apparent. 44% of Trae's three-point attempts have been from 27 feet or deeper. He looks comfortable shooting off the dribble and pick and roll, going left or right, and although he's capable of a step-back three-pointer, he's not forcing isolation step-back threes, going 8 for 18 on the season on those shots. With time and improved personnel around him, I predict that Trae Young's shooting is going to be fine, and I could even see him becoming an elite shooter in the NBA. On or off the ball, Trae Young is just not a good defender at this point. In fact, Trae's off-ball defense is some of the most half-hearted, inattentive work that I've seen from an NBA player this year. It's not unusual to see Trae standing straight up and barely moving from his spot for 10 to 15 seconds in a single possession. And when he's not standing still, he's highly prone to dying on ball screens, especially if there's more than one in a sequence. And he's essentially not a switchable player at all, and his closeouts and contests are are largely a non-factor for most shooters, even when he's in good position. I really doubt that he's ever going to be a plus defender in the league, but he's at the very least got the quickness and the hand-eye coordination and the build to be a pestering on-ball presence. Added strength is typically in order for rookies, but lack of effort and lack of focus are things that Trae can control, and he has to stay on the path to improvement to avoid being an obvious and exploitable weakness as the Hawks pursue winning basketball. He's got to burn calories on offense and defense at the same rate, and right now, he just isn't. Worry warts might point to Trae's turnover numbers and fret, but in my opinion, this is a situation where errors of commission are actually a good sign. Only 19% of Trae's turnovers this year have been a result of flat out losing the ball, and 67% of those have been on bad passes. If you didn't actually watch the tape, you might think, that there is a crap ton of bad passes. But watching Trae operate, it's clear that his offensive miscues haven't been a result of being reckless or clueless, but rather overly ambitious. His turnover totals to this point would actually put him among great company historically. For a rookie point guard, great usage rarely comes without inefficiency, and the Hawks are wisely letting him play through that. The Atlanta Hawks are bad right now. They hemorrhage points off of turnovers, fast break and second chance points. They're 27th in defensive rating and they're 24th in offensive rating. They're doing exactly what a team in their position should be doing. They're totally committed to being young and totally committed to being terrible in the short term, by design. They're doing whatever they can to make sure that they have tons of at-bats in the draft, acquiring picks whenever and however they can by working with impatient teams looking to salary dump and throwing their young talent to the wolves so that they can gain valuable reps in the meantime. The Hawks have the most cap space of any team in the league, and they've got 5 picks in the 2019 NBA draft. If I'm a Hawks fan, I feel pretty confident in GM Travis Schlenk, who's proving to be one of the better talent evaluators in the NBA. You want those guys on your side. He was instrumental in identifying the pieces that would go on to become a dynasty for the Golden State Warriors, and the early indications are that he's got the Hawks ahead of schedule by following that same template. Kevin Huerter, or the Butcher's Boy as I call him, has given us a taste of the dynamic perimeter creator that he could become. And the rapid development of John Collins is something that I'm sure every team in the Eastern Conference is keeping an eye on. Throw in Taurean Prince and Omari Spellman, a player that I still stubbornly believe in, and you can see why Hawks fans are walking with a little more pep in their step. The path is being paved, and the rebuild is ahead of schedule. Even with the defensive struggles and the inconsistent shooting, Trae has done enough to compel me to give him an A on his rookie midterm. Trae is at the starting line, skills-wise, that is akin to some of the most respected point guards ever to play. Before the draft, because of his triple threat polish, I'd placed his player makeup somewhere between Chris Paul and Steve Nash, and I'm sticking to that. His per 100 possession and per 36-minute stats compare favorably to those players in year one. Joining those ranks would mean that he had a Hall of Fame career, but he is that well-rounded of a talent. Still, it's important that we not get carried away. Because of his defensive limitations, there's that much more burden on Trae to be an outstanding, efficient offensive player. He has to prove that his elite passing DNA can further elevate Atlanta's roster. Can he really lead a team? We have no idea. Aside from FIBA and AAU, Trae has yet to play real competitive basketball alongside elite talent. Trae Young's future is unwritten. He just has to pick up the pen and write it. He has all NBA level talent and potential, but lots of players have set off from a promising starting point and darted violently in a troubling direction. Lots of players don't ascend to their potential. The first half of this season has given me hope that Trae Young will. Let me know if you agree.